The Own Your Intuitive podcast is for the creatives, spiritual entrepreneurs, and light workers in the world. The shining ones who have been told to dim their light and stop believing in magic. I say screw that. The time to rise is now. To bring your gifts out into the world in a big way, creating a business that feeds your soul and your bank account. You are a magical being with the potential to change the world, one human at a time. The time for you to own your intuitive is now. All right, y'all. I am back for another exciting episode of the Own Your Intuitive podcast, where I am breaking down chapter by chapter what the Blind Leap book is about, why you want to read it, why you want to have it by the bedside when you're making a ginormous decision to step out of the status quo, what you've always been told to do, break down beliefs that have been passed down from generation to generation that no longer serves who you are right now in the new age, in this new time where opportunities are so much more accessible than they have ever been. And so this week, I'm talking about the chapter, Clarity Comes with Movement. I just need to take a dramatic pause here. Let me say that again. Clarity comes with movement. Nothing happens when we stay still, paralyzed in fear, wondering how we're going to do something. What does it look like? What could happen? What if things go wrong? Because maybe they will. Maybe everything will go wrong. Maybe everything will go right. Maybe, you'll win thousands of millions of dollars. Maybe you'll lose some money. But so long as you're starting at the start line and the gun's gone off for the race and you aren't moving, you will never have any answers to any questions about what is possible when you're standing there. Because here's the thing. There is a huge, insurgence of information that I want to bring to people. And one of the biggest lessons that I've had to learn for myself that I'm going to share with you guys, it's like a truth bomb here, is that there is such a connection to things being good or bad, right? Do you remember growing up and this oh, this is a good idea, or this is a bad idea, or, this is a good decision, bad decision. If I do this, then I'm good. If I do this, then I'm a bad, because we were taught we were good and bad. And so we have grown into these adult selves saying, if this happens in my business, then it's bad. And we associate with being bad as we need to be punished, or something's going to happen that we don't want, or, something is going to get taken away from us. And there's just such an association to this level of discomfort in this good and bad scenario, this range. And so I would love for everybody listening to this podcast, if out, without even the clarity comes with movement, if everybody were to just be there is no such thing as good and bad, can we just wipe that from our vocabulary? Can we make sure that there is nothing that we say or we break down as being good or bad anymore? Because everything is information. All it is. When you're attaching to good or bad, you're limiting what you're doing in any aspect, as a parent, as a lover, as a, in a relationship, in your business. If I don't bring my wife or my husband home something, then I'm bad. You're not bad. You just didn't bring something home. Let's clear the slate on this one. Everything is information. And so when we're talking about clarity comes with movement, there needs to be some understanding that there's steps involved in order to acquire something, or to live into an expectation or a dream or something that we desire. And so when we can wipe good or bad off of the table and understand that a small step every day covers a lot of distance over time, because a lot of time people get paralyzed by looking at where they are. Here I am, I want to start a business. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know, what the steps are. I wouldn't know the first thing about it. But then you have this vision of a thriving business over in your mind, and you're looking at this thriving business in your mind, and you're traveling the world, and everything feels really big and juicy and amazing with this vision, and you're well, I don't know what to do, so therefore that's too big a gap. I'm not going to do anything because I don't know how to get there, because it's too far away and I can't wrap my mind around what that looks like. And I can tell you the majority of the population will stay with that thought and never take a step. And I would like to think that y'all listening to this podcast are one of those people. I'm believing that there is a part of you that knows that from where you are to where you want to go is a beautiful journey. But it starts with one step. It starts with 2 steps, 3 steps. And the vision is something that we hold very dear. The vision is your reality. You wouldn't even have thought of that reality if it didn't already exist and it is a potential outcome for you. And so the difference is when you know that that vision exists and you're holding on to it as being, yeah, that's what I'm achieving. This is where I'm heading. This is the final destination. Clarity comes with movement into how you get there. And I'm going to give an example. Like when I started working with Angela in the Author Incubator and I was writing my first book, and you come up with what I call a Stardust statement. And my Stardust statement for the first program that I put out was I help moms who have children with mental illness step out of the chaos and redefine who they are so that they can make, so they can learn to love their kids again and also have a clear idea what their future is. So I needed to start with that, because that's what I had solved a problem for myself, that I could support the next person coming up behind me, that I could say, like, listen, I have been where you are. I know what it's like. I totally lost myself. So let me bring you to where I am in the journey and help you get there so much faster. And so I started to work with moms who had children with mental illness, but all of a sudden I started to receive the same woman over and over again. And she would say, you know what? I actually want to start a business so that I can be home with my kids who have children with mental illness. And I was like, oh, now I would never have even received that from spirit or source if I hadn't been in action and taken a step to serve this woman. And so then I was like, okay, so I help moms who have children with mental illness create a business that lights them up inside so that they can stay home with their kids and, make money to support their family. And I was like, cool, that's really amazing. And I continued down the path. I kept continuing walking and, I started serving these moms. And then it was like everyone that was coming to me, all of a sudden, they weren't just moms who had children with mental illness. They were spiritual entrepreneurs. They were people who already were thinking about having businesses, but the businesses that they wanted to be running were based on being an empath, a highly sensitive, a medium, a psychic, dog communicators, like you name it, healers, light workers. People just started to gravitate towards me of this nature. And I was like, okay, so maybe I'm not meant to serve moms who have children with mental illness. And that led me now to supporting through the Chakra Business Academy, spiritual entrepreneurs who are ready to create the space within themselves to hold success so that they can make an impact with the world with their Stardust. But I would never have gotten to that if I hadn't stepped into the field of play or the field of action or the field of potentiality with a single step. Now, guys, to go from where I was at the beginning of 2017 to where I am here, I want you to know I have made some terrible decisions in my business. Absolutely, like financially, not the greatest. However, I am hella grateful for every single one of them because I didn't know how to run a business when I started this, but every step I took, every financial investment I made, every coach that I hired, whether I felt like I received something or not, because anything that happens between you and a coach, like I take responsibility for not actually showing up in that relationship. Sidebar. But clarity came with movement. I became the Tamara who's written 3 books, has a podcast, and shows up online in the way that I do in social media because I was willing to take a step. My ultimate goal, because since we're on ultimate goals, is to be a New York Times best-selling author. Like that is the vision that I hold, right? So that every step I take is still stepping towards this ultimate dream that I have. But along the way, I am taking some small influential movement every single day that leads me in the direction of that outcome. So I want this podcast in this chapter of the book to really help you understand that you are the creator of your reality, of the destiny, of the dream, right? You are in charge of the movement and the momentum that is unfolding around you. And so long as you take at least a small step every day, you are impacting what's happening on the return of energy investment from the universe. You know, I have a friend staying with me. His name is Matthew Patty. And he said during I had him lead one of my group calls, and he was like, you know what? Every step you take forward, God takes 3 to like bring it to you. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. I'm going to I'm leaning into that one, Matthew Patty. But it's true, right? Like when we're standing and we're asking for support from God, from the universe, but we're standing in one place and saying, you know, deliver it to me. We're bad business partners. No business partner would want somebody who was just standing there, not showing up in their business and being like, yeah, you do all the work, y'all. I'll just totally like relax here and I don't have to do anything because you're going to bring it all to me. And you know, I'll take action when you tell me to. No, this is a business partnership with the universe. Remember, your body is your business. It's your office. You know, if you're co-creating with the big guy, artificial intelligence, aliens, it doesn't matter. Whoever it is your source of your faith. Then you need to understand that it is a partnership that both people are equally invested in order to bring it to the current reality that you see in front of you. And so there's a level of participation. And so when you take good or bad out of the equation and you simply have information, then there is no reason not to step, because there's no reason to be attached to anything going wrong being about you, because it is not about you. It is about the information that you learned from that experience that makes you even better when you take the next step. It's like you get to collect all this data about yourself, about what you like, what you don't like, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, what lights you up, what makes you denser and feel heavier in your business. And all of this feeds and fuels your next step and how you serve your collective, how you show up bigger in this world, how you break down another belief and move exceptionally forward in a big giant leap. Like, it is so awesome to be in movement and momentum. And if you're a true entrepreneur, as Alex Charfen says, which I believe I quote in the book as well, like, entrepreneurs get sick when they're not in momentum. We don't feel well. It doesn't feel right. We feel depressed. We feel anxious. We feel overwhelmed, because an entrepreneurial person is like, our entire being is in momentum. It's who we are. It's what we're here to do. So, you know, get into the space of momentum and watch what's able to happen in any way, shape, or form, whether it's information that you learn from or it's information that takes you in a giant step forward in bigger ways than you ever thought imaginable. Nothing will happen without that first step. So clarity comes with movement, and I'm excited. I would love to hear what steps you guys are taking. I would love to know what clarity you got from this podcast episode. Please connect with me. Let's have some fun with this. You can, again, email me anytime at tamara@tamaraarnold.ca. I would absolutely love to start a conversation, see how I can support you. And again, if you're like, oh my goodness, she totally hit something on the head here, and I feel really want to share it with her, and meaning me, I'm her, Tamara, on Instagram or on Facebook, head over to Tamara Arnold, author. You know, tag me in what you feel is really powerful. I'm here to celebrate all things with you. Have the most amazing day. And I can't wait to come back next week with a next super juicy chapter of The Blind Leap. If you've been listening to the Own Your Intuitive podcast and you know you are ready to step into your stardust and to shine your light out into this world, but you don't know what your stardust is and you don't know how to bust through your blocks, I would love to jump on a call to find out if the Chakra Business Academy is the perfect place for you to grow into your light worker self, to step into this world as a spiritual entrepreneur, making a difference and making an impact. If you're interested, you can go to tamaraarnold.ca/application and we'll be on a call in no time, and you'll be taking steps into stepping into your stardust and making an impact in the world with the exact purpose that you were put on this earth to do.